Disclaimer: my content is made for 13 and up adult collectors, not made for children. Hello, this is Huntsman9, and today I'm going to be doing a video on a new launching technique that I found for Beyblade. I call this launch the spiral launch. So what you're going to do is have your launcher tilted like so, similar to basically the flower pattern launch or the sliding chute, and then you want to tilt the launcher in an angle. So first, before you perform the spiral launch, what you want to do is point your launcher somewhat downwards, tilted downwards, kind of like a sliding chute basically, right? So that's the first step to that. Now for the second step, for the spiral launch, you want to basically tilt your launcher at a degree angle like so. So this isn't just with the launcher I'm using, this can also be done with a string launcher. So you want to take a look at this position for how I'm holding this launcher, and keep in mind, to pull this launch off, it's going to take practice. Keep in mind that you might not get it the first time or first few times. This took a long time for me to actually learn to master, because I actually found this out on accident, because I've been using the sliding chute for a long time, and I just happened to slightly turn my launcher in a certain direction. It was mainly because I was trying to avoid not hitting one of my other Beyblades for a video. You know how Baytubers do to make certain videos look good. So it's, to make Bay battles fair, right? But I just found this out on accident because I was using my Gaia Dragoon versus one of my other Beyblades. I believe it was Gravity Perseus, and that's what I was testing it on. And so this is what it should also look like when you're using a string launcher at this particular angle. And if you're wondering what's the difference between my launch and a sliding chute launch, my spiral launch is basically made for more aggressive attack. So it's more of like a controlled attack basically. The best way to put it is that this specific launch has a more sharper, controlled turn basically. Like, think of like a car when it does sharp turns, like with drifting, things like that. So it's kind of like that for this launch. Basically with this, it brings out a whole lot more attacks for your attack type Beyblade. This launch basically has a whole lot more precision than a sliding chute basically. And so now I'm going to be giving a demonstration. Now for this demonstration, it's not about my Beyblade Gaia Dragoon winning against my Gravity Destroyer, although it has won a few times against it using this method for launching. However, to actually get to pull this off with this particular attack type Beyblade against a Beyblade that has a ton of stamina like Gravity Destroyer, it takes, for someone like me, would probably take a whole lot more practice on getting this down for a Beyblade like Gaia Dragoon when it comes to basically tornado stalling Beyblades basically. That's the best way I could put that. However, this is just to showcase how much more attack I'm getting out of my Beyblade basically. If you're still wondering about how this launch does, don't worry, I've got you covered. I've got another scene showing you how this launch does with two other Beyblades. One of them is Eldrago Destroy, which is almost like a tornado stalling Beyblade. So I'll show you how the spiral launch does against my Dynamite Bellio. But this right here for Guy Dragon versus Gravity Destroy is just to showcase how much more attack I'm getting out of the Beyblade, basically. So this launch for what I call the spiral launch, when it comes to Bay battles, this particular launch will vary depending on what stadium you're using. Not to mention what Beyblade customizations you'll be using it for. Because you could still use this launch similar to like the sliding chute launch for like, basically if you're using defense or stamina Beyblades or balance types. But the ones you're going to be mainly using it for things like somewhat defense types, if it's like an aggressive defense type, balance types, and attack types. But again, it also depends on the type of Beyblade you're using and what customization you're using. So keep that in mind. Now, for an example of what I'm doing with Gravity Destroyer and Eldrago Destroy, right, is that Eldrago Destroy in this stadium, it already has a big advantage, and that's because it's a Hasbro stadium. So in a Hasbro stadium, Eldrago Destroy's FS tip comes out a whole lot faster, thus making Eldrago Destroy basically more of a stamina type in this particular stadium. So if you're using like a sliding chute, and by the way, I was just using a sliding chute just now, and now I'm using my spiral launch just to show the difference. So depending on what launch you're using, or like I said, if you're using a spiral launch, it also depends on the Beyblade's gimmick. So when it comes to getting the advantage in a Bey battle, it comes down to the Beyblade's gimmick, what launcher you're using, like string launchers of course, and then it also comes into play what what stadium you're battling in. So you see how Eldrago Destroy doesn't really get wins against a Beyblade like Gravity Destroyer. I mean, it can, but you're gonna get more of a success rate when using launches like the sliding chute or spiral launch. Now you see, that was me using a sliding chute against Dangerous Bellio, or not dangerous, sorry, Dynamite Bellio. That was me using a sliding chute, right? Now you're going to see sliding chute versus my spiral launch. This is my spiral launch right here in this scene right here. So you can clearly see the results for yourself. Definitely something you'd have to try for yourself. And all I have to say is, when it comes to these different types of launches, I'm not liable for if you injure yourself or someone else. All I'm going to say is, if you're using my launch or the sliding chute, what have you, you're doing this stuff at your own risk. You know what I'm saying? I'm not liable whatsoever if you end up injuring yourself if you use these particular launches. I'm just saying because, some people aren't careful, or people are new to certain things, they might hurt themselves, that type of thing. However, other than that, this is Huntsman 9, and I'm out. God bless you.